Welcome to Community Insight. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Coles, and we have a special guest, a good friend of mine's come a long distance in the work that he do. Listen, you better get your pen and paper because you about to hear something today. And I'm so good to have Mr. Wes Cookman. Mr. Cookman, how are you doing
It's
today?
good to see you, Pastor Coles. And thank you for all the incredible community work. We met you. I was trying to remember when we met you, but we were so inspired in what you have done in this community. Just know that we pray for you and we appreciate this outstanding community work that you've been leading for quite a while now.
I think we have known each other close to even 9 or 11 years. It's been that long, and I'm gonna tell you, we met up through Peggy Tatum,
Yes.
and I know it's been a long time because I've been here 20 years in this community.
Wow.
So I'm trying to figure, what God just been moving and moving and moving. I remember when we came down to your event, my wife and I, and you had Mary, and we had the VIP tickets, and I tell you, man, what a exciting event that was, and it felt like it was just yesterday. And the work that you do, and I want them to hear because I'm just gonna be bragging on you because I just thank God that what He have put inside you and your wife, and the work that you do. The work that you bring to the community, and it's so important. So I know everything about you, but I'm gonna let the audience who are you? What do you do? So I don't want to cheat.
Thank you. It's interesting. We had our volunteer meeting. So much of what we're doing right now is the first time in 5 years due to COVID, just like everybody else. The pandemic changed things in so many ways. This will be our first We Do anniversary in 5 years in the Coliseum. Now we did take that first step last year, and all of our events were capacity. It's a rebuild. And I want to encourage anyone who is rebuilding post-COVID. We are so grateful, friends like yourself, who saw us as we were standing the annual event back up. You've been so encouraging, and thank you for that. But we had our first volunteer meeting in 5 years. Our event guide. This is our first one in 5 years, so it's
Wow.
kind of like learning how to ride that bike again. And so we were. In fact, I did an interview yesterday. And that same question, so it's kind of fresh on our mind. I'm the son of a minister, and have a passion and love for radio. My mentor, Mr. Jerry Farmer, at Central Carolina Community College, he instilled in us. He called it localism. He used to say to us, "You could play the records backwards." Back then, we didn't have any CDs or anything like that. He said, "You could play them backwards, but if you'll serve your community and being involved in the community, there'll be a place for you." And we just followed that admonition. It fits so well, with our faith service. And we had very humble beginnings. I worked at a radio station in Dunn, North Carolina for 7 years. In fact, my first job in radio, I was the overnight person, as many people in radio had basically tended the machinery on an easy listening station, but had that dream of a positive network of radio stations that would make a difference. I told a group the other night, the best sell I ever made was to convince this young lady that if she would leave that good job at a TV station and step out on faith with me, we were going to take this radio station in Fayetteville. I had just bought out of the estate. The former owner had passed away.
Wow.
And back in those days, that was like 1987. AM radio stations were going through difficult times. The advent of FM in the 80s, but there's many heritage radio stations that are community oriented, and we stepped out and like I said, the best job I ever did, Pastor, was to convince Sandy to join in. We stepped out on faith. You talk about humble beginnings. Our radio station signed off in the evening, and at sunset. And when I came to the radio station, and this is so accurate, I can close my eyes and see it. The transmitter had a sign on it, and the sign read, "If transmitter won't come on, kick the X." And I'm not pulling your leg. When you kick that X, after you push the on button, it would actually come on.
Wow.
And our neighbors at that time had farm animals. So when you came into the station, you can see how it really impressed Sandy. She came over to the station. You had to walk through chickens and roosters and, farm animals that were over. I mean, it was all fine, nothing to be fretful of. It was just very humble beginnings. And from that to today, God has blessed us, and we give him all the honor, praise, and glory. Even since I saw you last, all 4 of our AM stations were in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Laurinburg, Lumberton, Red Springs. But with this new opportunity that the FCC granted during COVID, we got all 4 of our FMs on, and 2 of our FMs, 99.7 FM, 98 FM, both have really good signals in Fayetteville. It's just sometimes it's just amazing when we look at what God has done. Our social media at the station, and I could barely spell social media, and it's not because of me. We have young folks that are real excited, but they did something recently. It had over 200,000 reach. It's kind of amazing. But all of this is for a much more important purpose. We recognize when we leave, we won't take any of this with us, just like anybody else. No U-Hauls behind hearses, still in Cumberland County. And I'm sure y'all do that the same way around here. No U-Hauls with hearse, right? But we're grateful for the tools and it's really the relationships. And just like everybody else, we all have folks that we love and care about that are in heaven now. And many of them didn't make it through the pandemic. So we're very sensitive and respectful during this time that Dr. Green, our public health director, has been on faithfully with us since the beginning. She was on this morning. She's on 3 times a week. Okay. And we talk about that and even the emotional dynamic and the mental health toll that our professionals are looking at. And the event that you've helped us so much with, the We Do anniversary, is one that during the pandemic, Sandy and I said, Lord, if this is it and we don't do another one, it belongs to you anyway. We're grateful for the opportunity. And so young Rashawn Moore, who was 7 years old when his mom brought him to his first We Do anniversary. Wow. We had Dottie Peoples was one of the feature artists, and she had all the kids. I remember it. She had all the young folks come down around the stage. It looked like 500 kids. This was back before there was a Crown Coliseum. It was the arena. But he was one of those young folks, 7 years old. He stands like 6'8", 6'9" now. He was still one of the tallest young folks back then, but has a heart of gold. And he just became a volunteer probably about 14 years ago, and now he's our anniversary director. He's 36 in the restaurant business, but he and a number of other young folks, they say, no, this event's coming back. COVID, we're past, the pandemic, and they want to rebuild it. So we're excited. But thank you for all your support. And but when you say, who am I, that, our calling is our life, and we're so grateful to be able to serve. And we're in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and we have a network of a few radio stations that we call it Inspiration and Information. And the annual event just grew from many years ago. So many of these things we're discussing right now, I'm mentioning, we've had folks asking us about that first anniversary that we had back in 1988. I bought the radio station in 1987. We had Shirley Caesar was there. Some of the young folks the other night, we said, do you remember the song Rough Side of the Mountain? They said, no. You remember Barnes and Brown?
Yeah, I won't try to sing. I mess up some glasses.
Going up the rough side of the mountain. So Barnes and Brown were there at the first WIDU Gospel anniversary back in 1988. We felt like we had been up the rough side of the mountain. But from those humble beginnings, and it's been a wonderful journey, and we're thrilled to restart the We Do anniversary. So we've got an exciting event coming up. I know you guys are going to be there with us. We're excited and looking forward to it.
Well, Mr. Cookman, I'm going to say you said a lot of things in that breath. I mean, one thing you said, it made me think about my wife. Our wife brings out the best of us, and my wife had to leave a good job too to follow me down here to North Carolina. She was kicking the can, Lord have mercy, but sometimes she still kicks it, but it was what the Lord have us to do, and He gave us a helpmate. And I tell you, I have seen you and your wife, Miss Sandra, the way y'all work and how y'all come together. And it's just how God bring us together to make these things work.
Yes.
And so for his glory. And I just been watching y'all for the years I've been around you. And every time I see you guys, I mean, y'all like a model to us, man. You're my idol, how y'all do things and how y'all come together and how y'all bring so many people together because you have this compassion, love for people. And that's where it connected us. So when your love, the love you have for your wife, your wife love that she has for you, but the biggest one I see the love you have for the community. And that's where me and my wife is. And I'm going to just shoot on a few things here.
Sure.
When you was doing when you was having the anniversary, and I just remember my wife and I came, it's just seeing people giving their life. You have some folks that have events and it's all about, hey, a show and tell. Nah, this is something that people life changing.
Yes.
And it's so important to see people's life changing to me. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed when when I got here, y'all already enrolling things y'all was doing. But just to see the people being touched and the artists you bring down there and how you help so many people. It's like it's a dry land and God allowed you to water it, you and your wife.
It's a wonderful testimony. Thank you. And you've actually been on during the pandemic. The prayer continued. It was just on Zoom. And our Pastors Coalition gets together a few times so far post-pandemic, but still they pray together on Zoom every week. I remember riding down the road one day and Sandy looked over and she said, it's the prayer. And then as I realized, because we're looking at these things that you're describing, we're amazed ourselves. Little old us, community-based radio station, the anniversary grew from a one-night event. 2009 was the first time we had the prayer breakfast. And you guys, thank you and your wife for such support. Once we all met and y'all started coming down and you've seen that grow. Bishop Rudolph McKissick Jr. was brought the message at that first. It was so powerful to see a pastor go to his car and bring in, and he was, they told me that he was in tears, that he had his resignation letter typed up in his car.
Wow.
And from that message, I remember that message, stay put. And Bishop McKissick, it's a great message. You can see it online. You can call it up on YouTube. But where the apostles were in prison and they stayed put, even though they could have just walked out of jail. And it was such a great message. There were other pastors who were just so deeply touched. And there has been a wonderful connection. Some years ago, he's now Bishop J.L. Godbolt. We had just, and it was not some grand plan. It evolved. It happened. We believe that the Lord's hand was in this. We know it was. So it was a community issue. It was a concern for the senior citizens and the bus line in Fayetteville. And so pastors came down and helped us. We very respectfully advocated. We had some rules. We said we'd never have a complaint without a suggested solution, and we weren't there to make noise. We wanted to make a difference. And from that advocacy of the pastors, other people got involved. One of the community leaders encouraged us. They said, from what y'all did, the next 5 years, $10 million more was put into public transportation.
Wow.
When you come down, you'll see, and to this day, and one thing we're real proud of, there's not a single person that was associated with us that tried to create a political career out of it. This wasn't politics. These were pastors and just good folks who cared about senior citizens standing at a bus stop, and it kind of became a slogan in the community of, our community won't be truly great until there's a bench at every bus stop, and there was just a heart of compassion. And so one day there were some pastors, and Wesley went and got some boxed lunches. They were at the station. And from that fellowship grew to what you see as the Pastors Coalition. And Bishop Godbolt had the vision, and he said, Wes, we can see this growing. We had grown, and we were up at the conference room at Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church. And he said, what are we going to do with that responsibility? And he has a heart and vision and ministry focus for prayer. So from that time forward, every meeting we had, it started with prayer. I'm talking about old-fashioned, not 5 minutes. I'm talking about, at least 30 minutes. And he would bring a devotional, and then he would encourage everybody, if they knelt down when they prayed, if they walked, if they lay prostrate before the Lord. Mount Olive was so kind to allow their church to be used. And we believe to this day that because of the prayer, it's kind of hard to have disagreements when you're starting out praying together. And so we've just been hugely blessed. And the anniversary grew, which you saw, and it went from that one-night event. Our peak year, we had 12 events, 7 free admission, 5 were ticketed events. My wife, Sandy, caught that vision years ago. She saw a family, and she didn't want mom and dad to have to leave the kids at home because they couldn't afford to buy a ticket for everybody in the family. So she really went to work recruiting sponsors. And so over the years, folks would talk about, how do y'all have these major gospel artists and the ticket prices are so affordable? Well, it wasn't just by accident. It was Sandy's hard work and vision. It was pastors, community leaders that bought into that vision. And we thank God, with your help, you helped us, and just a coalition of friends of faith. That one year you helped us build that to that peak year of 12 events, over 40,000 people, if you added up the numbers, attending all the different events. We had the Together as One. So churches on that Wednesday night in Virginia and South Carolina, North Carolina, I think it was 27 churches. And our artists started catching the vision and coming in early. So most of the artists participate. So many churches got a chance to have a recording artist or speaker. That it was a dream come true. So all of those things converged together. And like you said, we would always do a youth concert, and Pastor Chris would send the pictures. I remember the last one, over 100 kids accepted the Lord at the youth concert. And we've witnessed what we view as miraculous works happening. We've seen folks who testified later that they were going to get divorced. One couple already had the paperwork. Bishop Thompson, he was Pastor Brian Thompson at the time, and he shared how the mom and dad, it was tough, and they were at the anniversary, but they weren't together, and they had 2 children. One child sat with one parent and one child with the other. And during a break time that we had, they all bumped into each other at the concession stand, and there's such a wonderful spirit in the building. You've been there.
Oh, yes.
Mom and dad ended up sitting together. The kids sat in the other seats.
Wow.
And that marriage was restored.
Amen.
Plus, we have all kind of testimonies of folks who are married today who say they met their mate at the We Do anniversary. I was joking them the other day. I said, they're going to do a reality show, on a lot of young folks meeting. But so many beautiful stories. As I share the testimony, it's chilling and it's mind-boggling in a way for us, because we just stepped out on faith and didn't have these kind of goals, but the goal was to serve. We did say a prayer, and my father, before he passed, I'm the son of a minister, and he prayed for God to connect us with the right people. And we had a PS on that prayer: please keep us away from the wrong people.
Come on now.
And meeting you and the friendship, we just really felt like that was part of, and Sister Peggy, that was part of that answer to that prayer of God connecting us over time. We're in kind of a new phase post-COVID. We wanted to really make sure this is what the Lord would have us to do. And so the community has been very supportive. So many friends have been supportive. And we're so proud of that young man who was 7 years old at his first We Do anniversary, almost 30 years ago.
Wow.
And now him being our anniversary director. Sandy and I feel like we're going to be here quite some time, but we understand none of us are here forever. And this event has been such a blessing to so many. So if it's God's will, we're going to do everything we can to empower this event. And Rashawn, this year, every artist, he secured every artist.
Man.
Took him 6 weeks. He worked really hard. We've got great speakers. We have 4 events on Thursday and Friday, October the 24th and 25th. Culminates on that Friday night in the Crown Coliseum. John P. Key, Leandria Johnson, Tim Rogers. Let's see, the McDonald sisters, Doc McKenzie, and the Mickens. And that's going to be a fun evening. First time in 5 years, the Coliseum with the October anniversary. What we do. We'll have that prayer breakfast that morning. Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant out of New Birth in Atlanta. He'll be bringing the message. Kim Burrell will be ministering in music that morning, and she's so kind. She's been with us in years past. On the Thursday, Jacqueline Carr will be preaching and singing for Rashawn calls it Sandy's luncheon. It's the women's empowerment luncheon.
Okay.
But Sandy, she was very, very reluctant when Rashawn first had that idea years ago. And when Sandy saw all the ladies being blessed and inspired, that's what's inspired her. Probably Sandy's least favorite thing in the world to do is get up in front of people and speak.
I like my wife. Don't put me up there now. She won't even go on the pulpit.
For this one cause, we've been able, and it's not my favorite thing to do. Some of us just, that's we'll do a lot of things, work and work hard, but because of Sandy seeing the lives of women being inspired, I know the last anniversary Women's Empowerment, we had a wonderful lady called Sandy that afternoon after the women's luncheon, and share with her testimony that she had just been diagnosed with cancer the day before. And she was at the luncheon, and Sandy and her shared how this very unusual thing in life can happen, that you can be happy and sad at the same time. And, obviously we're prayerful with her, and appreciate her being there. And she was just talking about how much that event, how much it inspired her, but how much she needed it, right at that moment. So we have over 700 on our prayer partners email list. And we thank God, and we understand. It's like the great Les Brown says, work like everything depends on you and pray like everything depends on God, because both are true. And we have a lot of wonderful friends working hard. We have a lot of wonderful friends praying hard, and that's the combination. This year we have a 5th bonus event. Garrett Davis is bringing the play Forget Me Not. It's a free admission, but, to cooperate with fire occupancy, capacity rules, everybody will have a ticket. So anybody that wants to come down to Fayetteville, reach out to the radio station. We're giving out the tickets for free. We give them through the radio station. That'll be our bonus. Event on that Monday night. But let's see, and then on that Thursday evening, Carolina's Best is coming back.
Oh man, that's good. Now, people probably watching us right now, and I want to make sure, how do we get tickets? Because at first, I just thank God for you and your wife, the friendship with God. I thank God for bringing us together. I know why He brought me to North Carolina now, for so many good people and the work that we all doing here together to glorify Him. But how can we get tickets? Is there a website? Because folks want to come. It's October 24th to the 25th. It starts on the 24th, because it starts with the woman program. It is all the way to the 25th. Am I correct?
Yes.
And so, and we have the magazine, the brochure here, but the question is, how do we get tickets? I got mine. But how do we get tickets to this event? Because that's what they want to know. How do we get tickets? Because it's not that far, 2.5-hour ride. Good conversation with your wife or somebody.
Yes. I just experienced that. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Pastor Coles. The thing I would like everybody to remember is WIDU, www. For some reason on my phone, I have to put the 3 W's in, old-fashioned dot, WIDUanniversary.com. Rashawn has built a website that almost any question anybody would have, time, who's there, rundowns, it's all on www.WIDUanniversary.com. And also he has it, when it's got the different events listed, if you'll just click on that event, it'll take you right to the Ticketmaster site, so folks can purchase tickets. At this point, we're 30 days away as the recording of your show. So the fastest, easiest way would be through Ticketmaster. And if you'll go to WIDUanniversary.com, it'll give you those details. We do have friends across the state that have tickets and are helping sell tickets, and in this rebuilding process, but probably right now. And by the way, when you go to our website, and you'll see in this brochure, I'll send you a link again that has this digital version of our event guide. The event guide lists everything, but near the back, our Convention and Visitors Bureau, they helped us, and they put together hotels, like if you like to come down and stay in a hotel. Man, time go by so fast. Listen, I wish we had more time. Please get on our website. Go to www.widu.com. Am I correct? WIDUanniversary.com. Anniversary.com. Come to our website. You get the information. Come and support an event that's making a difference. Thank God for Miss Sandy and Wes Cookman. God bless them, and we continue praying for them.
See you in the next broadcast.